The Trump administration has unveiled plans to impose a 25% tariff on foreign-made cars imported to the U.S. The move is expected to deal a significant blow to South Korea, where automobiles are the number one export to the American market.
트럼프 2기 행정부가 미국으로 수입되는 외국산 자동차에 대한 25% 관세 부과 방침을 발표했습니다. 자동차가 대미 수출 품목 1위인 한국으로선 상당한 타격이 예상됩니다. So he has actually signed the order, the executive order.
Yes.
It is officially going to take place next month.
Yes, next month. Next week, in fact, from April 2nd. 4월 2일부터 발효될
Okay.
건데요. So this will be something that very much affects Korean companies, Korean car companies. It's something we had heard about, this 25% tariff.
Yeah, we've talked about it several times.
But now it is finally coming. So these are cars made outside of the U.S.
Okay.
So if a Korean company makes the car in the U.S.,
Okay, in the U.S.
in
okay.
the U.S., for example, this tariff does not apply.
Well, so it would seem likely that a lot of companies would move the manufacturing to the U.S. to avoid tariffs.
Yes, recently I was listening to the news this morning. One Korean car company.
Big car company.
Yeah, they are investing to create a new plant, new facilities
Really?
to make their cars inside the United States.
Interesting.
네, 미국 내에서 생산한 자동차에는 관세가 부과되지 않아서 a lot of companies will maybe be moving their production inside the United States.
Ooh, I would think that's a big, big investment.
It is. And it is
You know,
something...
a lot of money is required for something like that.
And it can't happen quickly, right?
Right.
Yeah, you have to build
It's going to take time.
factory.
Yeah. So Korea is the third largest exporter of cars to the U.S.
Yes.
So this is a big deal for Korea.
Right. So these tariffs for automobiles are affecting a few different countries.
Okay.
South Korea, Japan, Mexico, Canada,
Okay.
and a couple in Europe, Germany, for example.
Right.
But South Korea is number three on that list.
Isn't that phenomenal for a country that is so small to be the third largest exporter of cars?
To the U.S.
To the U.S.,
So this is just talking about cars that come into the U.S.
Yeah.
But it is definitely a lot. I mean, I think so many people in the U.S. drive Korean cars now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I often see them in movies, too.
Yeah.
It's true.
It is,
it's quite interesting.
a Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
You would think it would be an American car.
Right.
But it's quite often a
Right.
Korean car.
So, Cameron, I hear that there's going to be an automobile tariff, but there will also be reciprocal tariffs. So are you saying that there are two different tariffs that are added to this equation?
Yeah. What is that Korean saying? 설상가상? Like it's like one bad thing on top of another. It's like frost on top of snow, I think is how you say it. But it is these reciprocal tariffs, these 상호관세, are already in place
Right.
for things like aluminum, steel, 철강, right? But these auto tariffs are separate and you add on top.
Wow, this is going to be a significant impact
Yes.
on this industry. And that's why we have the expression, it will deal a significant blow. So our expression is deal a blow, B-L-O-W.
Yes.
Literally, 지각하면 이렇게 때리는 거 아니에요?
Yeah, 타격이죠.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. So if it deals a blow, in this case, significant, which means very, very big.
Yes.
Right? 타격이 크죠.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is going to cause damage. It is going to be something painful.
Yeah.
In this case, for the Korean automotive industry.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, deal a blow. Let me read that again. The Trump administration has unveiled plans to impose a 25% tariff on foreign made cars imported into the U.S. The move is expected to deal a significant blow to South Korea, where automobiles are the number one export to the American market.
The wildfire that broke out in Uiseong, North Gyeongsang province has spread across several regions, damaging national heritage property, including scenic areas, natural monuments, folklore cultural heritage items, and designated treasures.
경북 의성에서 시작된 산불이 다수 지역으로 확산한 가운데 명승과 천연기념물, 국가민속문화유산, 보물 등 국가유산 피해도 속출하고 있습니다. Okay, so we know that many lives have been lost, many homes have been burned, and this is also absolutely devastating. But also, our historical artifacts, these national heritage property that have been around for like hundreds of years, have burned is also equally heartbreaking.
Yes, unfortunately, many things that have been around for so long, many of them are made of wood.
Yes.
Yes. And of course, when these large fires break out, they burn very easily in some cases. So, for nationally designated cultural heritage sites and property, about 15 cases
Wow.
have been confirmed
That's a
of
lot.
either partially or completely lost. And it's a wide variety. Some are just scenic views. So just where the scenery is so important.
Yes.
Maybe it's a mountain or a river or a field that is very important for Korean culture. Those places, of course, some of them have not survived. Yes.
But fortunately, I did hear that some have survived because they took action. What
Yes.
did they do?
So a few of these have put up what is called a 방염포. So this has a few translations, like a fire retardant sheet.
Retardant is a good word. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fire
retardant. RETARDANT. In this case, it means to prevent fire or to slow down fire.
Right.
So they wrapped this stuff around wooden structures. So one pavilion that seems to be saved is in Andong, the Manhyujong.
Okay.
The Manhyujong, it's from the 16th century.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We have to protect that.
So it's very old, but fortunately it has been saved. As well as in a temple, the 고운사 temple in Uiseong. It has about 30 buildings. 네, 30개 동이 있는데요. 21 of them are still standing.
Are still standing.
And fine.
Okay.
So it did not completely save all of the buildings, but more than half, over 60, over 2/3 were saved, including the most important ones.
Thank goodness.
So it's not a complete victory, but at least partially being able to save is something that, people can maybe feel better about.
Well, I tell you, from this incident, it really makes us kind of think about the future.
Yes.
And the future of these national heritage sites and how we can better protect them.
Right. We've
Yeah?
been talking about climate change, and sometimes we don't always think about
Yeah.
these other types of problems that can come.
Absolutely.
But I think everyone is thinking about that now.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm just going to go through some important words.
Okay.
Heritage is 유산,
Yes.
okay? And scenic areas, how would you say that in Korean?
명승 is what
Okay.
we said in the headline.
That's right. And natural monuments is 천연기념물.
Yes.
Okay. So these are some important words that we covered in the news today. All right, let me read that again. The wildfire that broke out in Uiseong, North Gyeongsang province, has spread across several regions, damaging national heritage property, including scenic areas, natural monuments, folklore cultural heritage items, and designated treasures.
A powerful 7.7 magnitude earthquake in Myanmar has claimed over 2,000 lives so far. The international community is stepping up relief efforts, with rescue teams being urgently dispatched to the affected areas.
미얀마에서 발생한 규모 7.7의 강진으로 현재까지 2,000명이 넘는 사망자가 발생했습니다. 국제사회는 구조 인력을 급파하는 등 지원에 속도를 내고 있습니다. Okay, the news keeps changing.
Yes.
The casualties, the fatalities, the numbers are increasing. So where do we stand at right now, Cameron?
So the latest figures I was able to find come from the Wall Street Journal, where currently a little over 2,000 people are confirmed dead, unfortunately, and 3,400 people have reported as being injured. So that number we expect to continue to climb.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people we do not know where they are. So there are a lot of search and rescue efforts going forth.
And really what's even more unfortunate is that they have been going through this ongoing civil war, right?
Yes.
The military. And so it's like already the situation, the conditions, the environment, they're having to deal with a lot of, problems and challenges. And then on top of that is this natural disaster. So what is it like there right now?
Well, to give a little bit of perspective, one of the main cities in the middle of the country, Mandalay, is apparently just flattened. Everything is just
Like
destroyed.
the whole city?
The whole
Wow.
city of Mandalay is, if there was any building, it is now toppled over. So it is definitely a very serious thing. And like you said, there was a coup d'etat. So 2021년에 쿠데타 있었는데요. From that time until now, there's been a lot of fighting with this civil war.
Yeah.
One side has said that they will stop fighting. 휴전을 선언했는데요. The other side, so the military side,
Yes.
they are continuing their attacks. 그 공습을 계속 하고 있어서
Right.
there is some trouble trying to get help to
The relief.
those areas.
Yeah.
Because they're worried about these airstrikes.
Right. I mean, I heard they did that just a few days after the earthquake struck.
Yes, and with these disasters, of course, golden time
Golden time.
아주 중요하잖아요.
Yes.
그 72시간 이내, if you can go to those places, you have more of a possibility of saving people.
Got it.
Unfortunately, after 72 hours, people, they don't have food, they don't have water,
Right.
warmth may be a problem.
Sure.
So that is when a lot more casualties can start to appear.
So, because of the scope and scale of this earthquake, the international community is raising the alarm and saying, okay, we need to help out. What's going on?
Yes, so the World Health Organization, 세계보건기구, the WHO, as it sometimes is called, they are asking for $8 million in emergency relief.
Okay.
The International Red Cross as well, they've started a fundraising campaign for $115 million. 1억 1,500만 달러.
Yeah.
So a lot of these big organizations are trying to get money, and countries as well, South Korea, the United States, China, they have started providing help, providing aid as well.
Yeah, this is really catastrophic. And also, I hear that Thailand, too, because it was such a strong earthquake, that Thailand and some surrounding regions, countries were affected as well.
Yes. So, of course, Myanmar is dealing with this problem, but the surrounding countries,
Yeah.
especially like Bangkok,
Yeah.
a very developed city with large, tall
Yeah.
skyscrapers, this type of earthquake is definitely something that has caused a lot of damage.
Wow. Okay. All right. So when we speak of earthquakes, and we talked about this last year, we talked about the word magnitude, because anytime you have an earthquake, you want to know how strong the earthquake is, right? 뭐 진도, 규모죠, right?
Yes.
Magnitude. But this word magnitude, of course, is an essential word when an earthquake happens to know how strong, but it can also mean the importance or basically how big something is.
Right.
Right? So, like, you could say that a problem, like, we don't know the magnitude of this problem, which means we don't know how serious this problem is.
맞아요. 이 문제 얼마나 큰지, 얼마나 중요한지.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we often use this word in that context.
Yes.
Yeah?
So the magnitude, so you could say, like you said, the problem, the magnitude of the problem, the magnitude of your actions.
Yes. Or how about, in this case, the magnitude of destruction?
Yes.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know how many people actually died.
Yes.
It just, the numbers keep going up. And I believe that some U.S. agency said that it could be up to like 10,000.
Yes. So they are still, of course, trying to save as many people as possible. But the possibility is very high that the number of people that die could go over 10,000.
Okay, so etude means a state or condition. So we have words like magnitude, altitude, 고도죠, right? And we have things like longitude, latitude, 경도, 위도, right? So that's going to be a little hint for the quiz to come. All right, let me read that again. A powerful 7.7 magnitude earthquake in Myanmar has claimed over 1,700 lives, 2,000 lives so far. Over, actually, 2,000 lives so far. The international community is stepping up relief efforts with rescue teams being urgently dispatched to the affected areas.
The main portions of the wildfires that swept through the Gyeongnam and Gyeongbuk regions have been fully extinguished. Authorities are continuing mop-up operations to prevent any chance of the fires reigniting.
경남과 경북도 지역을 중심으로 발생한 대형 산불의 주불이 모두 진화됐습니다. 불씨가 되살아날 가능성을 완전히 차단하기 위한 잔불 정리 작업이 계속되고 있습니다. Okay, so this is very good news that the main portion of the fire has been completely contained, extinguished.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us, the state of things.
Yes, of course. We've been following this all since last week. The very huge wildfires, some of the longest and most destructive wildfires in Korean history, but the main portions of them have finally been extinguished, so they have been put out. This is the second longest wildfire in Korean history.
Yeah, wow.
So
it's 10 days?
Yeah. So in 2022, Uljin, in the area around Uljin, had a wildfire that was the longest. So as you can see, these are happening more often and frequently.
And longer.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the fire is out, the main part, but they say that there are still embers or like little fire. It's not completely out. So they want to make sure, the firefighters want to make sure that all of that is contained, extinguished, right?
네, 그 잔불 정리는 아직 5일에서 10일 정도 걸린다고 했어요.
Got it.
So the remaining amount of time to get rid of the smaller fires that still exist could take another 5 to 10 days to mop up.
And this is really important because if you don't do that, then it could ignite another fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, it is still quite dry. The winds are still blowing quite strongly. So these small fires could grow very big very quickly.
And I really like that expression, mop up operation. Now, when we think of this phrasal verb, as a phrasal verb, mop up, 뭐 바닥 청소하는 거 아니에요?
Yes.
닦다, right? To mop up the floor. 이렇게 많이 쓰잖아요. But in this case, it's an adjective, mop up operation. Where does this come from?
So this was originally a military term, from my understanding, where you've beaten the enemy, but maybe there are still small armies that you still need to take care of. In the same way, they have been fighting this fire, and they've gotten the main fire gone. It is extinguished.
Right.
But there's still some small things, some final little bits you have to take care of.
Yeah.
So when that is the case, you can use this word mop up.
Okay, very good. So anytime you have a big event or a disaster in case of like a fire or a battle, it's like, of course, there's a lot of damage done. So you got to kind of clean it up.
Yes.
Really? Figuratively.
Right, yeah.
And literally.
So it's not the main portion that you're cleaning up.
Yes.
It's the final little bits that you have to clean up. You could call the mop-up process or the mop-up operation.
Okay, very good. Let me read that again. The main portions of the large wildfires that swept through Gyeongnam and Gyeongbuk regions have been fully extinguished. Authorities are continuing mop-up operations to prevent any chance of the fires reigniting.
The United States has released trade evaluation reports ahead of its announcement on reciprocal tariffs. In its report on South Korea, the U.S. pointed to concerns over American beef imports and access to the Korean auto market.
미국이 상호 관세 발표를 앞두고 국가별 무역평가 보고서를 공개했습니다. 한국에 대해서는 미국산 소고기 수입 문제 그리고 한국 자동차 시장 접근 문제 등을 언급했습니다. So this report, now we are 2 days away from these reciprocal tariffs. And now the U.S. has released an evaluation report.
Yes.
So how important do you think this report is in terms of the tariffs that's going to be imposed? What do you think?
It gives a good idea of what the Trump administration is thinking. So we don't have the details of the tariffs, but we at least know what they're thinking of.
What's on their mind?
What's on their mind. And for Korea in particular, they went into some detail.
Oh, what?
So compared to some other countries, the amount they talked about South Korea was a bit long. So this report was about, well, it was many, many pages, but 7 pages were spent on South Korea.
So can you tell us 1 or 2 details?
Well, one of the big ones was beef imports.
소고기?
Yes, sogogi. So, of course, if we go to the supermarket, we do see American beef.
True.
But there is a restriction. It can only be under 30 months.
You mean the cow?
The cow, right? So, 30개월 이상의 소고기 수입 제한이라는 과도기 조치 있었는데요. This 과도기 조치 is a transitional measure. That's what they called it. It was supposed to be temporary.
Temporary.
But it's been going on for 16 years now.
Okay, so 16 years doesn't sound so temporary.
Yeah, so that is one thing that the Trump administration was talking about. Another one is, of course, the automobile industry. There are some policies they say are a little unclear in the kind of Korean regulations. And so they think that it is unfair that there are not clear rules if the U.S. wants to import automobiles into Korea.
Wow, so these are 2 very specific issues.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, if you think about automobiles especially,
Yeah.
that is one of the biggest industries in South Korea.
Right.
And it's a very big industry in the U.S. as well. So they're not talking about small things here.
Oh, these are big items here. Okay, so, but the U.S. position on imposing these reciprocal tariffs, it will continue as planned.
Yes, so far there are no changes. And they say also there are no exceptions or exemptions. 예외나 면제는 없다고 했어요. So we're not just looking at a few countries. We're going to be looking at basically every country in the world. We've been talking about Canada and Mexico. The EU is also being targeted. So every country around the world is looking to tomorrow and what these tariffs will be.
Wow, the Trump administration has a lot of work to do.
Yes, they do.
They sure do. Okay, so we talked about these evaluation reports, 평가 보고서.
Yes.
And these evaluation reports, of course, in this case, is regarding the trade reports. But we also have things like teachers' evaluation.
Ah, yes.
Yes, 뭐 선생님들, 교수님들 평가받죠?
Yeah.
Right?
If you are in any company,
Yeah.
you probably have a performance evaluation.
Yes,
How well you're doing at your job.
that's right. And we will probably have an evaluation too.
I think we
Here on Evening Special.
한 6개월씩
네. 한 5개월
있죠?
후에, 네,
대편이
after
있죠?
5 months, yes,
Yeah.
we might have it. Okay, so there are a variety of evaluation reports. Okay, let me read that again. The United States has released trade evaluation reports ahead of its announcement on reciprocal tariffs. In its report on South Korea, the U.S. pointed to concerns over American beef imports and access to the Korean auto market.
Last year, South Korea's cosmetics exports to the U.S. ousted France to take the top spot. The number of mergers and acquisitions between foreign companies and Korean cosmetics firms is also on the rise.
지난해 한국 화장품 산업의 대미 수출액이 프랑스를 제치고 1위를 기록했습니다. 해외 기업들의 한국 화장품 업체 인수합병 사례도 증가하는 추세입니다. Okay. Traditionally, France is pretty much number one when it comes to cosmetics. It
Yeah.
has been.
Makeup,
Yeah.
skincare,
Right.
perfume.
All of those things.
Yeah. All of those things.
And so last year, Korea overtook France. This is a huge deal.
Yes, it is.
Uh-huh.
It is a very big deal, and it's getting international attention. Bloomberg actually reported that Seoul is attracting more investors than Paris is.
Wow.
So both on the consumer side, people buying the products, and the business side,
Wow.
it is getting a lot of attention. Just to give a little bit of a view of how much this was, Korean cosmetic exports to the US were $1.7 billion. Yeah, so it's about 2.5 trillion won, 약 2조 5천 원 정도였는데요. For France, it was only 1.2 billion. 약 1조 8천억 원.
That's quite a difference.
Yes.
I cannot believe that this little country has outnumbered France in its numbers.
Well,
sales numbers.
It's true. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it is very amazing how quickly that this industry has bloomed for Korea. In fact, compared to last year, it has gotten 20% bigger
Ooh,
in a single year. So,
amazing.
you know, and in business terms, that is a giant increase.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I do know that K-beauty was really hot in China. So I feel like it kind of like went over to the US.
Yes, right. Like you said, in China, sales have kind of gone down a little bit for several different reasons. But the Korean market has been able to shift to the US. And the US is the biggest market
Sure.
for cosmetics.
Absolutely.
So this is very good. And they've been very smart with how they've done it. They've done these online promotions, so getting influencers
Yes.
and other, social media.
I've seen many of those.
So many.
So many posts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And another thing is really strategic partnerships. So Costco, Amazon, these big chains with big supply chains
Yes.
that they can distribute to everybody.
And get the exposure.
Yes.
Okay.
So using both of those have really just skyrocketed these exports.
So speaking of investors, there's a lot of these kind of M&A, like big cosmetic companies are wanting to buy the smaller Korean companies. Is that true?
Yes, the M&A, the 인수합병, right? There are many companies. In fact, there were 18 companies. They were Korean companies bought by international.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
because they're doing so well.
My goodness.
I have a few friends in this industry.
You do?
And they're saying for those that are active in America,
Yeah.
It is crazy.
Really?
The amount of money, the business deals.
Really?
Yeah, it's a very hot market to be in right now.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So yeah, get into the cosmetic market.
Yep.
It's not too late.
No.
Okay. All right. So M&A, as you mentioned, 인수합병, mergers and acquisitions. It is short for those words. And take the top spot. Okay. The top spot is 1위죠.
Yeah.
Like number one.
Yes.
It is the top. Right? So if you take the top spot, 1위를 차지하다.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are number one. You beat everybody else.
Yeah. Do you think Evening Special can take the top spot here at EBS Radio?
Oh, I don't know. We have some
너무
competition.
꿈이 큰가요?
꿈이 좀 커요.
Okay.
We got
okay,
some...
3위. Okay, third, second, I'll take it.
Goodness.
All righty. All right, let me go ahead and read that again. Last year, South Korea's cosmetics exports to the U.S. ousted France to take the top spot. The number of mergers and acquisitions between foreign companies and Korean cosmetics firms is also on the rise.
For the first time, monthly rent now accounts for over 60% of the national rental market. Both landlords and tenants are increasingly opting for monthly rent instead of the traditional 전세 system.
전국 임대차 시장에서 월세가 차지하는 비중이 처음으로 60%를 넘어섰습니다. 집주인과 세입자 모두 전세보다 월세를 선택하는 쪽이 가파르게 늘고 있습니다. Now, as a foreigner, when I first came to Korea, and a lot of other foreigners, and they hear about this 전세 system, it's like, huh?
Yes.
I don't understand. How is this possible? So it seems that now times are changing. Now monthly rents are becoming more popular,
Yes.
more favored.
So these numbers come from January and February of this year. They looked at contracts that were signed for rental places to live, and it found that 60% of those contracts were monthly rent
Wow.
compared to 전세, or if you live in Jeju-do, I guess they do have 연세. They have that yearly rent
Yeah.
system down there, right? But yeah, this is a big, big increase.
That's interesting because when I first came, I mean, years ago, even just like 10 years ago, still a lot of people were in favor of 전세.
Yes.
So, but it seems that for the landlord, 집주인, and the tenant, 세입자, it's good for both of them. They both prefer the 월세.
Yeah, 이제 둘 다 선호하는 것 같아요.
Yes.
So if you think about the tenants, the 세입자, recently there have been some accounts of this 전세 fraud, right?
Yeah.
전세 사기
Yeah.
사건 많았잖아요. Especially in 2021 and 2022. So now they would prefer maybe what's seen as the safer monthly rental system.
Right.
And then for the landlord's part, they are concerned with the amount of interest rates, how much they have fallen. So it used to be
Right.
they receive the money from 전세,
Put it in the bank.
put it in the bank, and they receive interest, right?
Right.
But now, 금리 너무 떨어져서
Yes.
it's hard for them to make money doing just that.
Right. So it would make more sense from a landlord's perspective to get a monthly rent.
Yes.
Okay. So as a foreigner, Cameron, I'm also a foreigner too, but as a foreigner, what do you think? What is your preferred system? 전세 system or 월세? 어떤 게 더
So
좋아요?
I personally prefer the 월세 system, the monthly rent.
Okay.
I did 전세 one time,
Yes.
and I will not do it again.
Did something happen?
I almost didn't get my money.
진짜 못 받았어요.
Yeah,
거의 못
그
받았어요.
새로운 세입자가 찾을 때까지
네.
그 좀 걱정 많잖아요.
그쵸.
Yeah, you have to get your deposit money back, but you don't get that back until there's a new person to come into your place, right?
Oh my.
So luckily we found it at the last, someone at the last minute.
그러니까 작년에 캐머런이 사실 이사를 못 할 뻔했잖아요. 못 할 뻔했잖아요.
Yeah. I
Right?
already signed the contract for my new place,
Oh no.
but I was afraid I wasn't going to get my 보증금, my
Yeah.
deposit money from my last place.
I know.
So I was biting my fingernails.
Oh my goodness.
Very worried. But
Very worried.
yeah.
Now in America 그 보증금이 보통 it's the first and last month's rent.
right, 두 달치 정도.
네, 두 달치 주면은 렌트 충분히 가능합니다. 근데 왜냐 아직까지도 한국의 보증금이 사실 뭐 5천만 원, 3천만 원 이게 작은 돈이 아니죠.
Yeah, it's almost like a year
Yeah.
of salary for depending on how much you make.
It is true.
Yeah.
Okay, so monthly rent is 월세. 근데 미국에서는 사실 what is your monthly rent 이렇게 뭐 물어보지는 않겠지만 만약에 친구한테 궁금하면은 we would not say what is your monthly rent. We would just say what's your rent? How much is your rent?
Yeah, if you only say rent, we think it's for a month.
Yes.
Right? Some places you can get weekly rent, maybe yearly rent.
Yeah.
But if you just say rent, it is assumed it's per month.
Okay. So landlord, 집주인, tenant, Tenants, 세입자. Okay. Let me read that again. For the first time, monthly rent now accounts for over 60% of the national rental market. Both landlords and tenants are increasingly opting for monthly rent instead of the traditional 전세 system.
The number of people using the generative AI ChatGPT has surpassed 500 million, fueled in part by the rising popularity of a new model that turns out animation-style images.
생성형 인공지능 챗GPT 이용자가 5억 명을 돌파했습니다. 애니메이션 화풍의 이미지를 만들어주는 신규 모델의 인기가 크게 작용했다는 분석입니다. Okay, we've got a lot of photos here regarding these altered images.
Yes, we do.
Ghibli?
Yes, Ghibli, of course.
Ghibli, yes.
It's a very popular trend going around social media.
Yeah.
You upload your photo, you say, please turn this into a Ghibli-style animation.
It's very cute.
It is cute.
So, really, the number of ChatGPT users have been it's been explosive.
Yes.
So, maybe this is one of the reasons why.
Yes, it is very easy to use, very nice to look at, so it's very popular. But it has been reported that the number of ChatGPT users surpassed 500 million as of the end of last month. 5억 명을 돌파했어요.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Is a lot of people. And 30% of that number is the past 3 months.
Just in 3 months.
Yes.
My goodness. So, like these sort of digitally altered pictures, there's this new AI model or several new AI models, including these sort of animation style things. So tell us more, what other things are there?
Yes. So anyone who has used ChatGPT or any of the other things OpenAI, its parent company, has developed, you have the general AI.
Yes.
그 채팅 방식으로 뭐 이거 뭐야 뭐
That's the one I use.
Right.
Yeah.
You ask for the research, right? However, there are other generative AIs where they can produce images, movies, little songs or jingles.
Oh, wow.
So it takes a more artistic approach. And as these are developed, more people are brought into this OpenAI ChatGPT system.
Okay, and I know you use that, the generative AI.
I have before,
You
yes,
have.
yes.
So what did you do?
So I'm working on another project right now. 캐릭터, mascot, 뭐 약간
Make something.
오프닝 노래 같은 거 띠띠띠는 그 뭐 간단한 거.
Oh.
You just put in a description and it turns out all of these images.
And it's pretty good?
Some of them are good. Some of them are weird.
Okay.
Some of the images don't turn out right. However, the ones right now that are very popular with Ghibli, you can also have style of like The Simpsons or Doraemon. All of these are very popular right now.
Okay. Well, no wonder it's so explosive, this growth. But it helps to, it basically raises the question, and we've talked about these copyright issues with music and actors in Hollywood. And you can see with animators too, it's a very sensitive area here.
Yeah, 저작권 침입 아닌자, 뭐 침해 아니냐,
Yes,
뭐 그렇게
yes.
생각하는 사람도 있는데요. And because of that, actually, with the Ghibli style animations in particular, that has been stopped.
Oh, it stopped.
Yes.
Okay.
So this 저작권 문제, these are very big things. ChatGPT, this is not the first time they've had to deal with these kind of copyright issues.
Yeah.
Right now, there is a lawsuit that they have used the New York Times, the big newspaper,
Yeah.
to use it for machine learning without permission.
Oh, no. Okay. So we can see a lot of this in the future, these sort of issues.
Yes. So if the AI produced it by itself, it's fine.
Yeah.
But if it used other material and learned from it, that legally changes things.
So big copyright issues.
Possibly,
Yeah,
yes.
Possibly. Okay.
The U.S. government has officially announced a 25% reciprocal tariff on all South Korean products imported into the country. The move is expected to deal a major blow to South Korea's export-driven economy.
미국 정부가 한국에서 생산돼 미국으로 수입되는 모든 제품에 25%의 상호 관세를 부과한다고 공식 발표했습니다. 대미 수출 중심의 한국 경제에 큰 타격이 예상됩니다. Okay, so it has finally arrived. It is officially announced, and there was a list of all the tariffs that would be imposed on different countries, right?
Yes. And there is a little bit of confusion.
Okay.
So it was originally announced that the tariff for the South Korean economy, for the everyone selling products here, would be 25%.
Right.
However, looking at some more documents, the annex, the 부속서, actually listed it as 26%. 네,
So
트럼프가 한국에 대한 상호 관세율이 25%라고 밝혔지만 이후에 백악관이 공개한 행정명령 부속에 26%라고 했어요.
So 1% more.
Yeah, 1% more. And now, when they asked again, they said that the 26, the higher number, is the correct number.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, that's not very welcoming news.
So
at
one more
all.
percent that Korean companies will have to pay if they're exporting to the United States.
So this list, of course, there are a lot of countries in this world, but I mean, it is quite long and extensive.
Yes.
So tell us, we have 26%. How about some of the other countries?
Some countries have it worse. Some countries have it better than us.
Okay.
So every country gets 10%. And then there's extra on top. So if we look at certain countries, China will have 34%. The EU has 20%. Japan has 24%. And Vietnam will have 46%.
Well, that's very high.
Yeah.
Actually, I was very surprised to see that.
Yes.
Vietnam was very high.
That is, that's almost 50%.
Yeah.
So anything that was $100 is now $150.
My goodness. My goodness. Okay, so now, of course, it has been done, and we are concerned about our economy. It's not doing so well as we speak, and this South Korean economy relies heavily on exports to the U.S.
Yes.
Okay, so this is going to be it's going to have very severe consequences.
Right. Of course, this is hitting every industry. And like you said, exports are very important to the South Korean economy. So in relation to other countries, it's about the same because everyone is getting these tariffs. But
Right.
now competing more with the American economy inside their industries, it will definitely bring a lot more competition.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
We shall see for sure. Of course, people have brought up, hey, this isn't fair. Trump, though, his administration says, hey, we gave you a discount. Apparently,
Wow.
They said they wanted to give us a 50% tariff.
Really?
So they said they cut it in half to this new 26 figure.
It's almost like we have to be thankful.
That's what they're saying,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in this field as to what is the correct stance to have.
Okay. Well, that is the situation, and we shall keep you updated on further information. So this country, South Korea, is an export-driven country. Okay?
Yes.
So if it's export-driven, I think we need to export is 수출, right? Import is 수입. Now, if it's export driven, what does that driven mean?
So this driven here, much like with a car, we're talking about the power and the direction and what is leading the economy forward. So some nations, imports are very important.
Right.
Or their domestic economy. But in the case of Korea, they're selling to other countries. That's the bigger part.
That's right. That's the main part.
The main part. So when you say something is export driven, you're saying exports are the main part, the main selling, main money making part.
That's right. It's like the big main part of the economy.
Yes.
Okay. So, so if it's battery driven, steam driven, all of those examples means that is what makes it go.
That gives it the power.
That gives it the power. Very good. Okay, let me read that again. The U.S. government has officially announced a 25% reciprocal tariff on all South Korean products imported into the country. The move is expected to deal a major blow to South Korea's export-driven economy.
Ahead of the Constitutional Court's ruling on President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment trial, protests both for and against the decision are underway near the court, leading to traffic restrictions across the city. This year's Yeouido Cherry Blossom Festival has decided to reschedule.
윤석열 대통령 탄핵 심판 선고를 앞두고 헌법재판소 인근에서 탄핵 찬반 집회가 열리면서 이 여파로 도심 곳곳에 교통이 통제되고 있습니다. 올해 여의도 벚꽃 축제도 일정을 연기했습니다. So tomorrow is a big day, and it seems, and you had mentioned, because I have to go to Gangnam tomorrow, and you were like, uh-oh, Kristen, be careful. It's going to be very congested.
Yes.
You had said that, right? So a lot of rallies are going to take place from both sides.
Yes, I think no matter what decision comes out, many people will be out there and traffic will not be good. Of course, for safety reasons, the police have set up what they call a vacuum zone.
A vacuum zone.
Yeah, 진공 상태 만들었는데요.
Okay.
They put a fence 150 meters around the Constitutional Court building.
Wow.
So that people cannot go in and out.
Sure.
Just so that in case there were protests there, they didn't get violent or some accident were to happen.
Well, I think in preparation for the decision, the verdict, because whichever way, one side will not be happy.
Yes. So especially around Anguk Station, for example, Nagwon Arcade, Nagwon Sanga.
Yes.
Those areas, they will be traffic controlled. So they will be difficult. People will need to move around and use other roads. And banks that are in that area will be closed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you have to go to a bank and you usually go in that area,
Go somewhere else.
go somewhere else.
Yeah, just so stay away from that area as much as possible. Okay, so after 4 months of this political uncertainty, indeed, they will reach a conclusion tomorrow, a decision.
Yes, they will. So the decision is supposed to be finalized, document, they're writing it, and they will have it finished today. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. 내일 11시에 발표할 건데요. It will be an immediate decision. So if President Yoon is impeached, he will be immediately be removed from government.
Right.
However, if it does not pass, then he will immediately receive all of his presidential powers again.
Okay, we shall see. And also the Yeouido area, the 벚꽃 축제, the Cherry Blossom Festival, is a big event, and it seems that there will be some scheduling changes.
Yes, it was originally from the 4th to the 8th. 원래 4일에서 8일 할 예정이었는데요. They've moved it back a little bit, so it'll go from the 8th through the 12th.
I see. Okay.
So a little more room in between this decision and whenever the festival will start.
So they're predicting that rallies will be held everywhere, and you'll have maybe two sides, people who are for the impeachment. If you are for something, it means that you are in support of, in favor of. If you are against the impeachment, obviously you are opposed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this for, of course, is 찬성, and against would be 반대.
That's right. Okay. All right. Ahead of the Constitutional Court's ruling on President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment trial, protests both for and against the decision are underway near the court, leading to traffic restrictions across the city. This year's Yeouido Cherry Blossom Festival has decided to reschedule.